Ah, it's not. I thought it was gonna be. Oh, the dog. It's an ornament of a dog. Check. Mic 1, 2, 3. Out. Good. I can hear my voice now. Still deaf in the other ear until I get the other side. That works as well. Switch the keyboard off. Reflection on child development. We have followed the journey of child development, a journey that begins when a single sperm enters an egg the size of this full stop. From those beginnings, we undergo numerous physical, cognitive, and social revolutions. Eventually, we begin to adopt the roles, responsibilities, and privileges of adulthood. It is a journey full of paradoxes. Infants seem so helpless, vulnerable, and distractible, yet we have discovered that they are sophisticated learners and expect and eliciting the care they need. As Alison Gopnik notes in The Gardener and the Carpenter 2016, children start out life dependent on their parents for their very survival, and yet by the time they are grown up, parents can consider themselves lucky to receive the occasional text from them in a distant city. What's really strange is that this shift from extreme clinginess to vaguely interested is considered some measure of success. Children need parents so that they can learn to stand on their own feet. And in that regard, successful parenting involves parenting yourself out of a job. We have attempted to understand this remarkable transformation from dependence to independence by exploring the processes of development. What we have learned is that it is not age itself that drives development. Development is driven by a cascade of events experienced, and children themselves. Children change not because of passing of time, but through what changes as time passes. Skinner, 1971. We have considered everything from peanut allergies and marshmallows to fake walnuts and eating pet dogs, from using bling machines, blicket detectors, and Zandos to cast off chimpanzees, beavers, macho frogs, and Betty the Crow to reveal the hidden inner world of infants. We needed to employ the latest high-tech brain scanners and eye trackers, and to understand the range of children's behaviours and experiences. Sometimes we simply needed to listen to what they say and do. Doing this kind of research can involve multinational projects needing that combined effort of hundreds of researchers following children as they grow up over many decades. On other occasions, it relies on the in-depth study of a single child playing at home. Studying child development from a global perspective involves taking a look at the familiar play, learning language in the context of less familiar. The sign language inventors of Nicaragua and machete-wielding children of Congo, and the cattle-jumping young men of Ethiopia, Omo Valley. Doing so has revealed a mosaic of landscapes, parenting practices, peer relationships, attitudes towards children, beliefs about childhood, and ways of living. The fact that children not only survive these diverse environments and cultures, but thrive in them too, is testament to their ability and is a feat few adults would be able to achieve. The sheer scale of child development can seem overwhelming, but there are some common threads that tie the story together. Here are some final reflections on child development based on the themes that have reoccurred throughout the book. Children are alike and different. An alien hovering above Earth might conclude that all humans' life plays out in pretty much the same way. From that vantage point, little human-shaped dots appear. They organize their daily business along largely similar lines, eating, drinking, talking, moving, and sleeping. And after a number of years, they disappear with unremarkable regularity. Zoom into the level of individuals, however, and our imaginary alien might conclude that two randomly chosen humans are not even from the same species. They might speak a different language, eat different food, look and behave radically different from one another, possesses different technologies, succumb to different diseases, and lead very different lives. Throughout the book, we have been putting human beings under the microscope, sometimes zooming in to study interesting differences, and sometimes zooming out to see what we have in common. What we can conclude from this is whether we choose to focus on what divides us or what unites us is largely a matter of magnification. Children interpret their experiences through a complex prism of cultural customs, attitudes, and beliefs. But even after taking account of cultural differences, humans still have more in common with one another than they do with other species. Even our closest evolutionary relatives, not least the compatibility to create culture in the first place. So children and the societies they grow up in can be vastly different from one another, but they are not infinitely different. Every society we know of has children who take a long time to grow up, relative to our nearest evolutionary relatives and parents prepared to invest in such lengthy childhoods. The people in those species societies experience fear, trust, violence, cooperation, jealousy, competition, and love. A familiarity with human traits hides the fact that it does not have to be this way, and it is not this way for most other species on Earth. The uniqueness deserves an explanation in the way that other species adaptations, like the echolocation of the bat and the metamorphosis of a butterfly, also deserve explanations. We are unique, but we are not unique in our uniqueness. The value of multiple perspectives. One clear message from the approach taken in this book is the value of integrity, multiple perspectives on human childhood. Take fairness as an example. Using experimental psychology, we have been able to isolate what factors influence children's sense of fairness. Using psychology, we have been able to isolate the factors that influence children's sense of fairness. Using anthropology, we have been able to document the diverse ways in which children use fairness in their everyday lives. Using evolution, we have been able to offer explanations about why we have a sense of fairness in the first place and why other species do not. No single perspective should be relied on too heavily or for too long without cross-referencing and triangulating with the others. Just because a behavior might be the product of natural selection does not mean that it can occur without experience, without development, or without environmental influence. To understand human development and to best support children as they grow, we need to study the full range of global contexts in which humans develop, where data from psychology, anthropology, and evolution all point to similar conclusions. This should give us more confidence that we are on the right lines. Even better is when those facts also align with a bigger story that includes history, archaeology, primatology, and neuroscience. In many cases, we have a very good understanding of how development works, and on any given level analysis, the challenge for those interested in a more interdisciplinary understanding of child development is bringing those levels together. Synthesis. The complexity of child development. Synthesizing knowledge between levels is itself a challenge because development is complex. If it were not, this would be a much shorter book. There are significant methodological obstacles in gaining a deeper understanding of development. In the first place, for example, infants can tell us what they know, which is part of what makes them so fascinating to study. But it also means we need to indirectly measure what they understand. The more indirect the method, the more influence the researcher makes on behalf of the influence. Despite the advances made towards the de-weirding, psychology researchers are always limited by money, time, and resources, which place practical constraints on diversity of children they can study. For example, most research labs offer the parents a very different amount of money, if any, for bringing along their infants and children to take part in research. As a result, the parents and their offspring who are attracted to take part in research tend to be the one who can afford to do so. And for their own curiosity, because they are relatively well off and well educated, the challenge of recruiting enough participants means most lab managers are happy to get who they can through the door. Yet we know that social economic status is a significant moderator of child and adolescent behavior. The fact that cultures themselves are not monolithic and do not stand still adds to the challenge. Cultures are not uniform, they contain great variation within them, such as social classes and castes, which significantly alter the life outcomes of children and adolescents. Cultures also change over time. For example, since the introduction of market structures into various economic sectors of Chinese society in the 1980s, cultural norms have been moving away from traditional collectivist values and towards those independence and individual assertiveness, with children being encouraged via educational reform to express more personal opinions and acquire greater self-confidence. Lansford et al. 2021. As a result, some of the long-standing cultural norms that influence child development, such as the value placed on shyness, have also begun to change. Children are also moving between cultures like never before. The International Organization for Migration estimates that 258 million people, 3.4% of the world's population, live in different countries from the one they were born in, with 14% of immigrants being younger than 20 years old, 2018, while the transnational childhoods add to the richness of studying child development. They also add to the complexity. Perhaps the first rule of child development should be it depends. But we should value the complexity that diversity causes while it lasts. The Industrial Revolution that began in Great Britain during the mid-18th and early 19th centuries has been responsible for exporting two institutions around the world, the school and the factory. The more widespread these institutions have become, the more the lives of children have been shaped by similar forces. From the mid-20th century onwards, the information age has made the world smaller still. Multinational media, corporate capitalism, and globalization of small numbers of language means that children are more likely than ever before to watch the same programs, listen to the same music, consume the same products, and speak the same set language.